Pregnant wife forgets her phone at home, returns to see millionaire husband with mistress. They say the scariest secrets often lurk in the most familiar places. And for Lily Hathaway Redwood, nothing could be more true. She was the picture of happiness, pregnant and glowing, her billionaire husband's adoration warming her from dawn to dusk. But life has a twisted sense of humor. One forgotten phone at home and a quick detour back pulled the curtain on a scene. She never imagined her beloved James in an intimate moment with none other than her own sister-in-law. What Lily saw next shattered her reality, plunging her into a whirlwind of betrayal, family secrets, and unimaginable revelations. Lily Hathaway Redwood woke that morning with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in months. The sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of their penthouse apartment, overlooking the bustling city below. She ran her hand lightly across her growing belly, imagining the tiny life fluttering inside. She was about 5 months pregnant, and though morning sickness still visited her occasionally, her excitement overshadowed every discomfort. Her husband, James Redwood, had made his fortune investing in emerging technologies. In the news, he was heralded as a visionary, a self-made billionaire whose every move was tracked by the media. To Lily, however, he was the same kind-hearted soul she had met in college, albeit with far more polished suits and a schedule that barely left him room to breathe. That morning, Lily had a prenatal checkup. She dressed in a loose-fitting silk blouse and comfortable slacks, checked her reflection in the mirror, and grabbed a glass of water to stave off the last dregs of nausea. James was already seated at their modern marble-topped kitchen island, scanning emails on his phone with a furrowed brow. "You have to take it easy," Lily teased, noticing his tension. "Our baby can sense stress, you know." His face softened into a smile. He placed a tender kiss on her forehead. "I'll try," he said, brushing a thumb over her cheek. "But my CFO just flagged some urgent issues in Hong Kong. I might have to fly out next week, right before your baby shower." She feigned annoyance. "Work, work, work. Even if you're a billionaire, it's never enough, is it?" James laughed quietly. "You know it's not about more money. It's about seeing these projects through. But don't worry, I'll move mountains to be at the shower. My mother would never let me hear the end of it if I missed it." His mother, Cassandra Redwood, was known for her stern demeanor and old money posture. She had never fully warmed to Lily, who came from a modest background. Even so, Lily tried her best to stay on Cassandra's good side, if only to keep peace in the Redwood household. Before Lily could respond, her phone buzzed from across the room. She walked over to silence it, noticing the name on the screen, Amelia Hathaway, her sister-in-law from her side of the family. Amelia was married to Lily's older brother, Marcus Hathaway. The couple lived a short drive away, but Lily hadn't seen them in a while because they'd been traveling. She quickly texted Amelia that she'd call her back after the appointment. Little did Lily know that Amelia was about to factor dramatically into her life in ways she would never have foreseen. Finally, Lily gave James a quick kiss goodbye and headed out. She drove toward Dr. Roseland's clinic, humming along to the radio, blissfully unaware that she had left her phone behind on the kitchen table, next to the half-finished glass of water. At the prenatal clinic, Lily found herself flipping through outdated magazines in the waiting area. Another pregnant woman, eyes heavy with exhaustion, kept glancing at her phone. Lily instinctively reached for hers to check the time. That's when she realized with a jolt her phone was missing. Her first thought was that she might have left it in the car. After a quick rummage through her purse and ignoring the curious glance from a nearby father-to-be, She confirmed the phone wasn't there. A wave of annoyance passed through her, though it was overshadowed by the more pressing worry of missing any important calls. Still, Lily reminded herself that her phone was likely at home. After all, she did recall setting it down near the kitchen counter. The nurse called her name, and Lily's attention shifted to the checkup. Her midwife measured her belly, listened to the baby's heartbeat, and asked the usual questions. How was her diet? Was she taking her prenatal vitamins? Any unusual pains? Lily answered everything with calm confidence, a pleasant normality that made her momentarily forget the phone issue. But the notion lingered in the back of her mind. As soon as the checkup finished, Lily decided she'd swing by the house on her way to the small brunch she had planned with her best friend Clara. She could retrieve her phone and be out the door in a matter of seconds. The drive back to the penthouse was punctuated by Lily's thoughts of how drastically life had changed in just a few years. She had met James at a charity fundraiser during college. He was an ambitious scholarship kid, and she was studying social work. Their connection had been immediate, a shared love of helping others. Over time, Lily watched James's meteoric rise in the business world. She remembered how they used to talk about traveling the globe, building schools in developing countries. James had stayed true to that passion. He had donated millions to philanthropic causes. And though life had grown more complicated, Lily adored him for that unwavering generosity. Arriving home, Lily parked in her usual spot. The security guard at the lobby recognized her and gave a polite nod. She returned the greeting and proceeded to the elevator. Inside, her reflection in the mirrored walls revealed a woman who appeared content and radiant, though a hint of tension had crept into her eyes over the last few weeks. She chalked it up to pregnancy hormones. Everything about that moment felt ordinary right up until the elevator opened onto the private penthouse entrance. The doors slid apart quietly, and Lily stepped out into the foyer. She expected to hear her phone buzzing or see it lying innocently on the kitchen island. Instead, she heard hushed voices. At first, she thought James might be on a conference call, but then she recognized a distinctly feminine tone. She froze. Something about the way those voices mingled suggested secrecy. Curiosity and a strange, unsettling apprehension guided her forward. She slipped out of her shoes to keep from making noise on the gleaming marble floor. Step by silent step, she made her way toward the open living area. The vast penthouse was designed to be airy, each space merging seamlessly into the next, so the conversation was easy to overhear. What she heard nearly made her heart stop. "You can't keep doing this," the woman said, her voice trembling. "What if Lily finds out?" Lily recognized the voice instantly. Amelia Hathaway, her own sister-in-law. A swirl of confusion rushed through her. Why was Amelia here? And in that tone, James sighed, "I'm doing what I have to do. You should know that by now." Lily's eyes went wide. Why was James speaking in that hushed, intimate manner to Amelia? She peered around the corner, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. Amelia stood close to James, too close, wearing a sleek black dress that clung to her figure. James looked torn, a tortured expression across his face. Then Lily's stomach clenched. Amelia reached out and placed a trembling hand on James's chest. He rested his hand on top of hers, his expression a storm of conflict. Lily's mind whirled with 1,000 questions, none with rational answers. Was this an affair? Had her husband, the father of her unborn child, betrayed her with her own sister-in-law? She felt dizzy. Her foot slipped on the polished floor, causing a soft squeak. Instantly, James and Amelia turned toward her. Their faces mirrored the same shock Lily felt. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, and everything Lily believed about her life came crashing down around her. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She wasn't sure if it was her pregnancy hormones or sheer devastation, but tears threatened to well up. Her mind registered Amelia's presence in their penthouse, the closeness she'd just witnessed. It all felt surreal. Amelia was the first to break the frozen tableau. She stepped back from James as though his shirt had burned her fingertips. Her eyes darted to Lily, wide with guilt or fear or both. Lily. This isn't what it looks like, she stammered, struggling to find any coherent words. James, always poised under pressure in business, seemed lost in this personal crisis. He looked at Lily with a mixture of alarm and regret. I didn't know you'd be back so soon, he managed, as if that justified anything. He tried to take a step toward her, but Lily held up her hand, palm out. Don't, she whispered. Her voice was shaky. Her heart drummed an ominous rhythm, threatening to either burst or simply stop. She had never felt more vulnerable. She was carrying his child, and now she was confronted with a betrayal so shocking she couldn't fully process it. Amelia tried to gather herself. Let me explain. Explain what? Lily's voice rose, stronger than she expected. I just walked in on my husband and knew my brother's wife looking closer than siblings-in-law should ever be. What on earth could possibly explain that? Tears pooled in Amelia's eyes. She glanced at James as though pleading for him to take the lead. But James remained silent, guilt etched on every line of his face. Lily felt a wave of rage and heartbreak cresting inside her. She had always trusted James. She had confided in Amelia about so many personal matters. The betrayal was double-sided, cutting deeper than any single infidelity might have. Her world tilted on its axis. She started to feel faint, her pregnancy making everything more intense. She stumbled slightly. James rushed forward, grabbing her arm. She wrenched away from his grasp, tears now threatening to spill down her cheeks. Touch me, and I'll scream, she warned. The look in her eyes halted James in his tracks. Amelia, trembling, stepped forward. Lily, please, I swear I never intended for you to find out this way. I love Marcus. You have to believe me. Those words only inflamed Lily more. So, you love Marcus, but you meet with my husband in private, like this? She gestured wildly to the two of them, barely able to find the right words. How dare you? Amelia opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Feeling her chest tighten, Lily tried to breathe slowly. She realized the baby was reacting to her stress, tiny flutters that felt more anxious than before. The thought of her unborn child somehow gave her the strength to speak firmly. I deserve an explanation, she said. Now, James swallowed. Lily, it's complicated. There are things about my business, about our families. He trailed off, as though he wasn't sure how to continue. Then start from the beginning, she insisted, her voice taut. Because if you don't, I'm walking out of here. And I might never come back. The threat echoed through the penthouse. James's eyes flicked to Lily's belly, and a flash of pain crossed his face. Amelia looked pale as a sheet. Finally, James sighed, running a hand through his hair. This is going to sound incredible, he warned, but please, just hear me out. He motioned for everyone to move to the living room, but Lily refused to move from her spot. She crossed her arms protectively over her stomach. Amelia remained at a distance, her gaze flicking back and forth between Lily and James. Fine, James said. Stand if you want, but let me talk. He began with a cryptic explanation about family ties and debts of honor. He mentioned something about his father, Elliot Redwood, who had died decades ago in a suspicious car accident. He spoke about how there were secrets in the Redwood family that had been hidden for years, secrets involving shady deals, hush money, and alliances with people who would do anything to protect their own interests. Lily struggled to follow the thread, growing more confused by the second. What does any of this have to do with Amelia? She demanded. That's where it gets complicated, James said, looking at Amelia. Amelia's father, Richard Hastings? Richard Hastings? Lily repeated, baffled. Amelia had never spoken in detail about her father. He had died years ago, well before she met Marcus. Richard Hastings was heavily involved with my late father, James confessed. When I took over Redwood Enterprises, I discovered they'd co-invested in projects that skirted legality. My father died mysteriously. Amelia's father disappeared a few months later, presumed dead. But I discovered that the two men left behind a tangled mess of obligations, including a signed agreement that ties Redwood Enterprises to certain stakeholders. Those stakeholders are dangerous people. Lily's heart pounded. This was starting to sound like a conspiracy thriller. She still didn't understand Amelia's role. So Amelia is what? A link to her father's past? James hesitated. Amelia stepped forward, tears still brimming in her eyes. My father left a letter addressed to me, she said quietly. In it, he told me to find James Redwood if I ever needed protection. He said James would know what to do. Lily let out a short, bitter laugh. Protection? That's what I walked in on. Because it sure didn't look like a protection detail from where I stood. Amelia trembled. It's not like that. I was terrified, Lily. People have been following me. I don't know who they are, but I think they're connected to my father's old partners. I came to James for help because I didn't want to drag Marcus into this mess. I thought James would keep it secret and help me solve the problem. James nodded. That's why we're meeting in secret. I didn't want you to worry, Lily. You're pregnant. You shouldn't be under this kind of stress. He reached out gently, but Lily glared at him. She wanted to believe this insane story was the truth, but the scene she'd witnessed haunted her. They had been far too intimate. She replayed Amelia's words. You can't keep doing this. What if Lily finds out? That didn't sound like talk of business secrets or hidden letters. She looked from James to Amelia. That still doesn't explain the way you two were holding each other. The way you touched him, Amelia. That's not how you ask someone for protection. Silence stretched uncomfortably. Amelia's gaze fell to the floor. I was emotional, she said quietly. James was trying to calm me down. I was shaking. I grabbed him. I was so scared. That's all. A part of Lily wanted to accept that explanation, to find a simple resolution. But a deeper fear gnawed at her. Could there be more to this story that both of them were still hiding? The penthouse felt colder than usual. Lily stared at the two people she had once trusted, uncertain what to believe. James's explanation seemed plausible on some level. He had often hinted at complicated family history. And Amelia's tears were genuine. Still, Lily couldn't erase the image of her sister-in-law placing a trembling hand on James's chest, the closeness that suggested more than just fear or desperation. James cleared his throat. I understand why you're upset. I should have told you, Lily, but I wanted to protect you, and protect Marcus too. Amelia asked for my discretion. A bitter taste filled Lily's mouth. So you're telling me no affair is going on, that this is all some cloak and dagger business about your father's secrets? She tried to gauge the sincerity in James's eyes. He looked pained, but resolute. Amelia nodded vigorously. I love Marcus. The first would never betray him like that. You have to believe me, Lily. The mention of Marcus Lily's older brother brought a twinge of guilt to her heart. She and Marcus had grown up in the same small town. They had faced adversity together, from their parents' financial struggles to the countless responsibilities of adult life. He had introduced her to Amelia, beaming with pride that Lily would finally have a sister. Now, to suspect Amelia of an affair felt like a double betrayal. And yet the scenario Lily walked in on was undeniably suspicious. She clenched her fists, trying to regain control of her racing thoughts. A wave of nausea washed over her. She needed answers, and she needed them to be clear. She took a shaky breath, gesturing toward the leather sofas. Let's all sit down. If you two want me to believe this is about protecting Amelia from some legacy threat, You'd better tell me everything without leaving anything out." With visible relief, James guided Lily to the sofa, helping her settle onto the soft cushions. Amelia sat at the opposite end, her body tense, her eyes rimmed with tears she struggled to hold back. James took an armchair across from them, the faint city skyline visible behind him through the panoramic windows. He began again, carefully. "About 2 months ago, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a cryptic note referencing Redwood Enterprises' dark past. It also mentioned a sealed contract bearing my father's and Richard Hastings' signatures. I didn't know what it meant, but it suggested that if I didn't comply with certain demands, the company and my family would suffer." Lily listened, her skepticism easing slightly. Redwood Enterprises was massive, and there had always been rumors swirling about old deals. She recalled James once mentioning that his father's death had been shrouded in rumors of sabotage. James continued, "I did some digging. It led me to some dusty files in an off-site storage facility my father used. That's where I found references to Amelia's father, Richard Hastings. The documents indicated a partnership in a project linked to dangerous individuals, money laundering, illegal arms. It's not entirely clear, but it was enough to make me realize that this was serious." Amelia interjected, "At the same time, I started noticing odd things, letters in my mailbox about my father, strangers watching me when I was out shopping. So I used the letter my father left for me, which named James Redwood as someone I could trust. That's why I reached out to James privately." Lily felt her heart twist. It sounded like a genuine crisis, yet the memory of their intimate stance lingered. "So, why keep it from me?" she challenged. "I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. I have a right to know." James met her eyes. "Because I didn't want to drag you into this dangerous situation, especially not while you're pregnant. I love you, Lily. I was trying to shield you." She resisted the urge to let her guard down, "And the day I walk in, I see Amelia touching you, intimately." Amelia inhaled sharply. "I swear, Lily, that was me having a breakdown. James was only comforting me." Lily folded her arms. "That's it?" They both nodded, albeit with clear nerves. Silence filled the room again, a heavy presence that refused to dissipate. Lily tried to calm herself. Her unborn baby was feeling every tremor of her emotions. She couldn't allow herself to collapse under the weight of fear and jealousy. After a long pause, Lily sighed. "I need time to process this," she said, standing up, though her knees felt weak. "Amelia, you say you love Marcus. If that's true, you need to tell him something soon. I can't keep this secret from my brother." Panic flickered in Amelia's eyes. "We planned to," she said quickly, "but we needed to figure out a plan first. The fewer people who know, the safer we'll all be." James rose from the armchair, his posture one of quiet desperation. "I understand this is overwhelming," he said gently, "but believe me, I had no ill intentions. Let me prove it to you. I'll tell you everything, show you the files if you want. Please, Lily, trust me, trust." The word rang hollow to Lily in that moment. She looked at both of them, her gaze firm. "I don't know if I do," she admitted, voice trembling slightly. "But for now, I'll listen. Only for the baby's sake." Her words lingered as she grabbed her phone off the kitchen table. Indeed, it was right where she had left it, and walked out the door. She didn't bother looking back at James or Amelia, her heart too raw from the shock and confusion swirling inside her. Lily found herself parked at a quiet overlook in the outskirts of the city, engine idling as she stared blankly at the horizon. The hum of traffic was distant, the wind softly rustling the trees lining the edge of the bluff. She felt tears well up again, hot and stinging at the corners of her eyes. She remembered how James used to bring her to scenic spots like this when they were dating, to watch the sunset and dream about their future. Now, The open sky seemed to mock her shattered sense of security. She pressed a hand to her belly. The baby's gentle kicks reminded her she wasn't alone. No matter what was happening, she had to remain strong for her child. Her phone buzzed, likely a message from James, but she couldn't bring herself to check it yet. Her mind drifted to how Amelia and James's explanation did make a twisted kind of sense. If Amelia was truly in danger because of her father's criminal ties, going to James for help might have been logical, but the question that gnawed at her was, why the secrecy? Why not tell Lily, whose brother was Amelia's husband? Why risk Lily walking in on a scene that looked like a raw betrayal? She inhaled shakily. The obvious answer was that they didn't want to drag Lily into dangerous waters, but a sliver of doubt lingered. What if there was more between them? What if the closeness she witnessed was the tip of an emotional affair fueled by shared secrets and stress? Lily shuddered, forcing those thoughts away. She tapped on her phone, opening a missed call and a text from James. Both bore the same message, "Please come home. Let's talk. I love you." She blinked back tears. Despite her fury and hurt, she still loved James. She had never questioned that until today. But trust was another matter entirely. A second buzz. This time, it was a text from her brother, Marcus Hathaway. "Hey sis, you all right? Haven't heard from you in a while. Amelia's out running errands. You guys meeting for lunch or something?" Lily's breath caught. Marcus was clueless that his wife was currently entangled in a high-stakes drama with Lily's husband. The realization weighed heavily on her. She couldn't bear to watch him find out the wrong way, if at all. She typed back a short reply. "I'm okay. Let's catch up soon. Promise." She then dialed her best friend, Clara Monroe, who was expecting her for brunch. The phone rang twice before Clara answered, her voice light and cheerful. "Lily, where are you?" "I've been sipping coffee alone for half an hour already." Lily tried to steady her tone. "Hey, sorry. Something came up. I'm not going to make it. I need someone to talk to, though." Clara sensed her turmoil immediately. "You sound upset. Are you all right? Where are you?" "I'm outside the city near Willow Bluff. Can you come?" Clara didn't hesitate. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. "Hang tight, honey." The wait seemed endless, but soon Lily spotted Clara's green sedan pulling up. Clara had been Lily's friend since college, a vivacious woman with a penchant for dramatic flair. She got out of the car, her curly auburn hair catching the breeze, and rushed toward Lily. "What happened?" Clara asked. Concern etched across her features. Lily opened her mouth, but the words caught in her throat. She burst into tears, letting Clara gather her into a tight hug. For a moment, Lily just sobbed, letting the emotional dam break. Eventually, Lily pulled back, wiping at her cheeks. She recounted the entire morning, the forgotten phone, coming home early, seeing Amelia and James together, the cryptic story about dangerous investors and family secrets. Clara's eyes grew wide. "That's insane," Clara murmured. "But do you believe them?" Lily hesitated. "Part of me does. It's not like James to lie to me, but I can't shake how intimate it looked. I keep hearing Amelia's words, 'You can't keep doing this.' What if Lily finds out?" That doesn't sound like two people merely worried about gangsters or old contracts. Clara pursed her lips. Could it be something else, like hush money or blackmail? That might explain the secrecy too. They stood there in the crisp, fresh air, grappling with possibilities. Lily felt her mind swirl, each scenario more troubling than the last. Clara took Lily's hands. "I know you're hurt, but you need clarity. You have to figure out the truth, for your own sake and for the baby's sake. If there's really some criminal threat, you have a right to know precisely what's going on. And if James is cheating, well, you need to know that too." The word cheating sent a pang of agony through Lily's chest. "How can I find out? You could dig deeper," Clara suggested. "Confront Amelia directly. Ask to see these files James mentioned. If they're telling the truth, they should have no problem showing you everything. And maybe it wouldn't hurt to clue Marcus in. He might already be noticing something off with Amelia. Lily nodded, determination flaring in her eyes. You're right. I need evidence one way or the other. They talked for another hour, brainstorming possible next steps. Clara offered her unconditional support, even suggesting Lily stay at her apartment for a night if she needed space from James. By the end of their conversation, Lily felt a little steadier, a plan forming in her mind. She would go home and demand full transparency. If there were threats, criminals, or suspicious documentation, she wanted to see every last detail. And if, by chance, James and Amelia were lying, she would find that out too. Lily returned to the penthouse later that afternoon. Her heart pounded in her chest as she opened the front door, unsure of what she might find. Was James still there? Had Amelia left? The foyer was quiet, the lights dimmed. She stepped inside cautiously. James appeared almost instantly from the living room, relief washing over his face. "Lily," he breathed, voice trembling. "I've been calling." She ignored his plea for now. "Is Amelia still here?" He shook his head. "She left soon after you did. She was upset. I told her to go home and talk to Marcus, but she said she needed a moment to prepare herself." Lily sighed, setting her purse down. Exhaustion weighed on her. "Let's talk in your office," she said, wanting a more private setting than the open living room where the morning's drama had exploded. James led the way to his study, a glass-walled space overlooking the city skyline. The room was tastefully decorated with leather-bound books, framed accolades, and a large wooden desk that once belonged to his father. Lily took a seat in one of the leather chairs. James sat behind the desk, looking more like the businessman he was, except for the worried lines crisscrossing his brow. "I want to see the files," Lily said calmly. "Everything about your father's past deals, everything that involves Amelia's father, Richard Hastings. I want to see all of it, right here, right now." James nodded, seemingly relieved by her direct approach. "Of course." He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a black binder stuffed with documents. "Some of it is in digital format, but here's the physical evidence I've compiled." Lily took the binder, her heart hammering. She began flipping through pages, old letters, legal agreements, bank statements. Most references were cryptic. She saw mention of a Project Albatross, a venture partially funded by Redwood Enterprises and Hastings Financial Group. Several pages detailed suspicious wire transfers to shell companies in offshore accounts. James tapped a photograph paper clipped to one of the documents. "That's my father, Elliot Redwood, and Richard Hastings on what looks like a construction site. I found it in a sealed box with a note suggesting they were funneling money to unscrupulous players to expedite the project. There are references to extortion attempts. It's messy." Lily studied the photo. She felt goosebumps. The men were smiling at the camera, but there was a tension in their posture. And the site behind them looked more like an abandoned lot than a legitimate construction zone. "This could be incriminating," Lily said, scanning the documents. "So whoever is blackmailing you might have something bigger than this, is that right?" James nodded. "Exactly. They hinted at more damning evidence that could sink Redwood Enterprises if I don't comply with their demands. They want significant sums of money funneled into new investments, which probably just means laundering. If I refuse, they threaten to go public with everything, and maybe worse." A chill ran through Lily, and Amelia is connected because her father was in on it. Maybe the blackmailers think she knows something. James leaned forward, voice earnest. "Yes, that's why she's afraid. They might be following her, thinking she holds missing pieces of the puzzle or can lead them to hidden accounts." Lily tried to stay objective. The evidence in front of her strongly supported the story James and Amelia had told. but she couldn't forget how intimate they had looked. "What about this morning?" she asked, looking up to meet James's gaze. "That moment I walked in on her hand on your chest, you holding her." Why did she say, "You can't keep doing this"? A shadow crossed James's features. He let out a frustrated sigh. She was scared I might confront the blackmailers head-on, putting us all at risk. She meant I couldn't keep taking reckless steps without telling you and Marcus. She was worried about you finding out because she didn't want you to misunderstand. The explanation was plausible, though Lily still felt a pang of doubt. "I need to talk to Amelia directly," she said, "and I need to know you're not hiding anything else from me, James. Because if I find out you're lying, I'm not lying," he interrupted quietly. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I should have told you sooner, but I swear my feelings for you haven't changed. I only want to protect you and our baby." His voice wavered at the end, and Lily sensed genuine remorse. She closed the binder, pressing her lips together. "Let's assume I believe you, for now," she said softly. "Where does that leave us with the blackmailers? And where does Amelia stand in all this?" James reached out, covering her hand with his. She let him, feeling the warmth of his skin. "We need a plan to neutralize them. I've hired a private investigation firm, Sparrow Security. They're discreet. They're tracking the blackmailers' communications, trying to identify them. As soon as we know who they are, we can figure out how to stop this." Lily's heart pounded at the thought of more danger. "And Amelia?" "Amelia wants to tell Marcus, but she's terrified he'll be furious with her for keeping secrets. I told her she has no choice but to come clean. We can't fight this battle alone anymore." Lily nodded, exhaustion washing over her again. "It's probably the right thing to do." A moment of silence passed before James spoke again, voice hushed. "Lily, I'm so sorry for everything. I love you and our future together. Please believe that." She looked into his eyes, seeing the same man she fell in love with, and for a moment, the walls she built around her heart softened. "I'm not sure how to move forward, James," she whispered, tears prickling, "but I'll try. For our baby." He pulled her into a gentle embrace. She allowed it, resting her head against his chest, listening to the steady thump of his heartbeat. The question lingered. Was it enough to erase the image of Amelia's hand on him? Only time and truth would tell. The next day, Lily awoke to find James already gone to an early meeting with Sparrow Security. She prepared herself a light breakfast, ginger tea and crackers, to soothe her persistent morning nausea, and tried to keep her mind from spinning. Amelia had texted her late the previous night, asking if they could meet privately. Lily agreed, albeit hesitantly, and set the meeting for that afternoon in a cozy cafe near Lily's old neighborhood. It was less conspicuous than a high-profile restaurant and far from the Redwood Enterprises office or her brother's usual haunts. If someone was following Amelia, at least Lily hoped the location would be less predictable. At precisely 2 o'clock, Lily slipped into a corner booth in the back. The cafe was modest, the kind of place Lily used to frequent in her college days: wooden tables, chalkboard menu, an enticing aroma of espresso in the air. She sipped on a cup of chamomile tea, scanning the door for Amelia. A few minutes later, Amelia arrived. She wore a simple sweater and jeans, her face devoid of its usual makeup. She looked tired, vulnerable. Spotting Lily, she offered a small, uncertain smile. Lily nodded, allowing her to slide into the booth across from her. For a moment, neither spoke. Amelia's hands fiddled nervously with the sugar packets on the table. Finally, she looked up, tears brimming in her eyes. "Thank you for meeting me." Lily forced a polite smile. "I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, but I'm still upset, and I'm not entirely sure if I can trust you." Amelia flinched. "I understand. I never wanted to hurt you or cause trouble, but I was desperate." Lily leaned forward. "I've seen the files." James explained the blackmail. "He showed me documentation of your father's partnership With Elliot Redwood, I believe there's danger. But I have to ask you, is that all that's going on between you and James? Amelia's eyes widened. What else would there be? Lily's jaw tightened. I walked in on you two in a moment that looked romantic, intimate. Are you sure your feelings never crossed the line? Amelia drew back as if struck. Lily, no, I swear, I love Marcus. I went to James for help because of my father's letter, and things got tense. I was on the brink of a panic attack. James was trying to calm me down, that's all. You have to believe me. Lily studied Amelia's face. The raw anguish in her eyes seemed genuine. Then you need to explain why you said, you can't keep doing this. What if Lily finds out? That sounds more like an affair than a panic attack. A blush crept up Amelia's cheeks. It does, doesn't it? But I meant James couldn't keep sneaking around behind your back, investigating these blackmailers on his own. I was terrified it would blow up in his face. And if you found out everything so abruptly, well, exactly what happened would happen. You'd think we were having an affair. Lily's shoulders sagged. The explanation was consistent with what James had told her. She tapped a finger on the edge of her teacup, considering. Have you told Marcus yet? She asked quietly. Amelia shook her head, eyes downcast. I was planning to last night, but when I got home, he was distracted by some work crisis. I couldn't bring myself to drop this bomb on him out of nowhere. But I know I have to tell him soon. I can't keep lying. Good, Lily said firmly. Because he deserves to know, and you can't expect me to keep this secret much longer. A waitress approached, placing a mug of coffee in front of Amelia, who had pre-ordered. Amelia murmured a thank you. They sat there, the tension thick. Lily felt a wave of exhaustion pass over her. Even if they were telling the truth, the emotional toll was considerable. Amelia chewed her lip, then spoke softly. Lily, I really am sorry. I wish I could change how you found out. I never intended to come between you and James. I think the world of both of you. You've always treated me like a real sister. I would never betray that. Lily exhaled, feeling some measure of relief. I believe you, she said, surprising herself at how much she meant it. But from now on, no more secrets. If there's a threat to our family, we all need to work together. Me, James, Marcus, and you. Agreed? Amelia nodded vigorously, tears slipping from her lashes. Agreed. They sipped their drinks in a fragile truce, exchanging details about the blackmailers. Amelia described strange phone calls, vehicles following her home, cryptic notes referencing her father. Lily shared what James had told her about Sparrow Security's investigation. They both acknowledged that the situation was dangerous and uncertain. By the end of their meeting, a cautious optimism began to emerge. Maybe they could get through this intact, as a family, if they stuck together. Still, a kernel of doubt lingered in Lily's heart. Trust once shattered is never easily rebuilt. The next week was a blur of tension and clandestine meetings. James spent long hours coordinating with Sparrow Security, who had managed to trace some of the blackmail communications to an offshore account. They suspected a small but ruthless organization of financial criminals with ties to Redwood Enterprises' old projects. Amelia, after several tearful conversations, finally confessed the situation to Marcus. He reacted with a volatile mix of anger, fear, and protectiveness, especially when he learned his wife had sought help from James without telling him. However, Marcus had always been fiercely loyal to Lily and Amelia, and once he calmed down, he was determined to protect them both. Still, Lily worried about the toll it was taking on her pregnancy. Stress was known to complicate matters, and her doctor warned her to rest and avoid emotional overload. Yet, how could she rest when her family's future was under siege? One afternoon, Lily found a moment of normalcy while browsing through baby clothes at a boutique. She imagined holding her child, dressing them in soft pastel onesies. For a fleeting instant, she felt peace. Then her phone vibrated, snapping her back to reality. The call was from Clara. "Lily, I just heard from Marcus. He said someone tried to break into Amelia's car last night. Are you all right?" Lily's heart clenched. "I'm fine, but... oh my gosh, I had no idea. Where are they now?" Marcus took Amelia to the police to file a report, Clara said. "He's worried. I'm worried." "You need to be careful too." Lily promised she would, but she felt a surge of anxiety. Someone was escalating their intimidation tactics. The break-in attempt signaled a move from mere threats to actual danger. She hurried home, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. James returned home late, a grim expression carved into his features. Lily could see the tension radiating from him as he loosened his tie and poured himself a glass of water in the kitchen. She set aside the pregnancy book she'd been half reading. "What did you find out?" He hesitated, then leaned against the counter. "Sparrow Security has identified a person of interest, Brian Fang. He's an international financier with a notorious reputation. He's been linked to money laundering rings in Asia and Eastern Europe. He might have had dealings with my father and Richard Hastings decades ago. Now he wants to use Redwood Enterprises' resources to expand his criminal activities." Lily felt a chill. "And he's threatening you because you won't cooperate." James nodded. "He's also got a vendetta. His father was imprisoned for fraud, which he blames on Elliot Redwood testifying. We suspect Fang's been orchestrating the break-ins, the intimidation, everything." "What do we do?" Lily asked, voice trembling. James set his glass down, walking over to place his hands on her shoulders. "Sparrow Security is monitoring Fang. They believe he's attending a private auction in the city next week, a place where illegal deals often happen behind closed doors. We might be able to confront him discreetly or gather evidence to turn over to authorities." Lily swallowed hard. "That sounds dangerous." "It is," James admitted, "but it might be our best shot at shutting this down. If we can prove Fang is behind the blackmail and intimidation, the police can intervene. We won't have to keep living in fear." She looked at his face, etched with resolve. "You're not going alone," she said firmly. James shook his head. "You're not going anywhere near that place." "It's too risky." Her temper flared. "James Redwood, I'm carrying your child. I have as much stake in this as you do, and I won't let you put yourself in harm's way without me knowing what's happening. At least let me be part of the planning." He sighed, pulling her into a gentle hug. "All right," he conceded. "But please, let the security team handle the direct confrontation. I can't lose you or the baby." She rested her head on his shoulder, feeling the weight of the situation press on her chest. "We do this together," she whispered. "No more secrets." He nodded solemnly. Together. The following week passed in a whirl of planning and hush-hush arrangements. Marcus insisted on being involved, both to protect his wife, Amelia, and to have a hand in stopping whoever was threatening their family. Amelia, still shaken by the car break-in, clung to Marcus's support. Sparrow Security set up a sting operation of sorts. James managed to secure an invitation to the private auction, hosted at a lavish estate owned by one of Fang's associates. The plan was simple but risky. James would attend under the guise of exploring new investment opportunities. Meanwhile, a team of plainclothes security agents would record any incriminating conversations or deals. Once they had enough evidence, they would hand it over to the authorities. Lily insisted on being present, at least in a nearby safe zone. The estate had multiple wings, so she could remain in a monitored room with one of the Sparrow agents, ready to call the police if things went south. Amelia and Marcus agreed to keep a low profile, waiting for news. The tension was palpable. On the night of the auction, James donned a tailored black tuxedo, looking every bit the suave billionaire. Lily wore a loose-fitting gown that accommodated her baby bump, her hair pinned in an elegant chignon. She felt her nerves spiking as they arrived at the estate, a sprawling mansion surrounded by tall hedges and patrolled by stoic guards. Before parting ways in the foyer, James squeezed her hand. "Remember, stay with the security detail. Don't leave the room without them, okay?" She nodded, heart pounding. "Be careful." He offered a reassuring smile, then stepped into the crowd of high-rolling guests. Lily allowed herself to be guided by a Sparrow security agent named Ronald, who led her to a discreet lounge area. It was tastefully furnished, a few plush chairs arranged around a low table, with a wide window overlooking manicured gardens. Monitors were set up on a side table, displaying silent feeds from hidden cameras. Lily watched James mingling in the main gallery, forcing a polite smile as he spoke to men in dark suits and women in glittering dresses. Time crawled by, each minute a test of Lily's patience. She prayed this would end quickly, that Fang would reveal himself. Then, on one of the monitors, she spotted a tall man with slicked-back hair approach James. Ronald zoomed in on the feed. "That's Brian Fang," he murmured. Lily's chest tightened. She watched James greet Fang coolly, shaking hands. They moved to a side corridor, the camera feed switching to a different angle. Lily clenched her hands in her lap, forcing herself to breathe steadily. The conversation between James and Fang appeared tense. Fang gestured with sharp movements, pointing a finger at James's chest. James maintained composure, occasionally nodding or replying with measured words. Though Lily couldn't hear them, she sensed the undercurrent of threat. Suddenly, Fang motioned to a second man, a hulking figure lurking behind him. James looked uneasy. Lily's heart hammered. She saw James hold up a hand, as if calming them, but Fang advanced, leaning in, his expression aggressive. Ronald spoke into his earpiece. "Team, move in closer. We might need to intercept." But the confrontation seemed to wind down. Fang cast one last glare at James, then turned on his heel and disappeared into the throng of guests. James let out a breath, patting his chest pocket nervously. Moments later, James returned to the main gallery, picking up a champagne flute from a passing waiter. He feigned interest in the art pieces up for auction, while occasionally checking his watch. Lily gripped the arms of her chair. She couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing. The evening dragged on. Several items were auctioned off: rare paintings, antique jewelry, even a vintage car. Fang placed no bids, seemingly content to watch from afar. James made a show of bidding on a painting or two, blending in with the other wealthy attendees. Lily's nerves remained on edge, her baby's kicks reminding her she was not alone in this. Then, in a corner of the screen, Lily noticed Fang discreetly signal to an associate. Her heart sped up. The man spoke into a phone, stepping outside. Ronald stiffened beside her. This could be trouble. A minute later, Lily's phone buzzed. It was a text from Amelia. "Marcus just got a strange call from a blocked number. They said if James doesn't play ball, we'll all regret it." Lily read it aloud for Ronald. He quickly relayed the message to the Sparrow team, who decided it was time to wrap up. James needed to exit before Fang or his men escalated to violence. The plan to leave was simple. James would call for his car, then slip out quietly once the auction finished. Ronald and Lily would meet him at the driveway. But as the final auction piece concluded, Lily saw Fang approach James again on the monitor. This time, Fang's expression was cold, calculating. He reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a small flash drive, pressing it into James's hand. It looked like an exchange of information. James gave a brief nod. Lily's heart pounded. Was James actually taking a deal? She stared, shocked, as James pocketed the flash drive, then bowed slightly, as if in agreement. Fang gave a sinister smirk and disappeared once more. Before she could voice her confusion, James turned to leave. Ronald guided Lily swiftly through a side corridor to the estate's grand foyer. They met James there, who looked visibly shaken. "What happened?" Lily demanded, trying to keep her voice low. "Did you just James cut her off, stepping aside with Lily. Fang gave me an ultimatum. That flash drive apparently contains incriminating records that tie Redwood Enterprises to illegal deals. If I don't cooperate, he'll release them publicly. Ronald ushered them toward the exit. We've got it all on camera. Fang's threat, the exchange, that's enough to involve law enforcement now. James nodded resolutely. Let's go. I'm done with this place. They hurried to their waiting car. Lily sat in the back with James, her emotions swirling, relief, terror, confusion. Had James just feigned acceptance to get the evidence they needed, or was there a darker truth behind that exchange? Within 2 days, Sparrow Security and the police pored over the auction footage, enough to implicate Brian Fang in multiple crimes. Realizing his trap had failed, Fang slipped into hiding, leaving behind a fresh warrant for his arrest. The flash drive he handed James did expose decades-old deals involving Elliot Redwood, but it failed to incriminate James himself in any current wrongdoing. The Redwood and Hathaway families breathed easier, though the relief felt tenuous. While Lily and James tried to salvage lost time, rescheduling Lily's delayed baby shower, Amelia and Marcus found comfort in each other, stronger than ever after confronting the darkest shadows of their family legacies. Then, one cold evening, Lily's phone buzzed with an unknown caller. She picked up hesitantly. A woman's voice hissed, "We're not finished. Fang may have lost a battle, but he won't lose the war. If James doesn't comply, you'll learn true despair." The line went dead. Shaken, Lily's thoughts spun. The danger wasn't over, and her unborn child's future remained under threat. James entered to find her trembling, phone clutched in her hand. When she repeated the warning, fury flared in his eyes. He drew her into a protective embrace. "Let them try," he murmured. "We'll fight back, together." Despite the lingering fear, Lily held on to hope. Whatever lay hidden in the Redwood family's past, she vowed that love and the drive to protect her child would outlast every threat. In that quiet moment, the family's bond proved stronger than fear, uniting them for the battle yet to come. And so we conclude our heart-pounding tale of family secrets, unexpected alliances, and a pregnant wife's journey to protect her child while unraveling a twisted conspiracy. Lily Hathaway Redwood's love, courage, and unwavering determination guided her through deceit, betrayal, and heartache, ultimately forging an even stronger bond with her billionaire husband, James, and bringing her sister-in-law, Amelia, back into the light. While the spectre of dark forces still looms, threatening all they cherish, Lily's steadfast resolve proves that even in the most turbulent storms, the power of family, loyalty, and hope can shine through. If you found yourself gripping your seat, craving more of Lily's story, then this is just the beginning. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more breathtaking drama, heart-wrenching confrontations, and edge-of-your-seat twists. Your support keeps these stories alive, so stay tuned for our next thrilling tale.